to a beggar after being dumped by her boyfriend in Kampala. Esther Lomala, who was brought to Kampala by her sister, to look for green pastures. However, things have turned out to be the other way around. Now she decided to come to the streets of Kampala to look for money to take care of her as well as her child. Also, transportation is an issue for her. Take a look at the story. We do return.
When one walks through the various streets of Kampala, the capital city of Uganda, one encounters a diversity of beggars. Among them are the Karamojong women and children stationed at different places and pleading with bypassers to offer them something. As a father, several unanswered questions strike my mind. I contemplate on what could possibly be the background reasons for their engagement on streets begging. As I was moving along the speakward, I found a teenager in the names of Esther Lamla, a mother of one who turned to a beggar so that she gets money for transport back home as well as taking care of her child.
The situation is hard in Kampala. At home, they don't know that I gave birth. If I can get somebody to offer me transport, I can go back home because I still recall there.
I also ponder over who and where the husbands of these girls and fathers of these children are and what their position in all this is. Other factors remaining constant, I largely wonder why only women and children and not men. I have always wished to hear the stories of these women and understand the realities of their everyday life as they go about begging money for survival.
I can't pay hospital bills, even rent as well.
Kampala streets are still teeming with children despite efforts by the Ministry of Gender, Labour and Social Development to evict them. Some old woman who was earlier a street vendor have also resorted to a street beggar after KCCA evicted them from the Kampala streets. This old woman told me that she has no option apart from looking for transport that will take her back home in Gulu through begging.
Yeah, mimi napatia transport. Mimi naenda transport hakuna. Sida yiko government hakuna fanya sirika kuja toa. Na toa business yote. Hakuna sente. Pesa transport yiko naenda nyumbani Gulu.
Street beggars scattered across the entire city center are you and me. It will show you to discover that the majority of these people are not mentally disturbed. A beggar knows very well that not everyone that passes by where he or she sits will toss him or her a coin. These people are like the majority of dictators in Africa. A long-serving leader's business is to rule. He never minds what they say. Pedson Mumbere, Smart 24 TV.
Very well. Thank you, Pedson Mumbere, for such a humanitarian story. And we're going to be picking it from there. Joining me is Joram Paul Sonko to at least have our opinions, and maybe it could change people, authorities, and also leaders around the area. Sonko, what do you think of such a story?
Well, I still believe that maybe we still have more of the same cases, not only in Kampala, but I think we have more of these pregnant teenagers, maybe in up countries, facing the same scenario whereby someone impregnates them, then he leaves all the duty back to the child. And then the young girl in this particular story reveals that even the parents back home don't even know that she's pregnant, that she actually conceived. So you can easily tell that our parents don't even know what is actually happening on ground sometimes. And it's, it does not actually go, it actually goes back to all of us. One, to the parents, how are we taking care of these children? Then to the children, more so the students at school. What are you doing to ensure that you stay in school and put in practice what your teachers teach you about being able to safeguard yourself against such activities?
Okay, and also our culture practices, because I have got friends who designated from northern part of the country. Some cultures are not in support of, let me say, sexual disrespect. I mean, moral disrespect, let me term it that way. Because once you get pregnant and you're still at my house and you get pregnant or you involve yourself into a sexual immorality act, like I tend to, you know, chase you out of my home. In case you do not agree to the terms. What are the terms? The terms are, if Sonko, you have impregnated Rita and Rita still stays with the parents, you are forced to marry that girl.
Yes, because you're supposed to take responsibility of
yes.
it. Yes.
And this is what is happening. Are you really ready at that point? Sometimes you're not ready, so you end up taking off. Maybe if part of our cultural practices or cultural norms are supportive to some extent, that it's okay. You know, mistakes are born to happen. This is a child who at some point will give birth and life will continue. Maybe some of the mistakes or some of the issues really like that would not happen at a point. And here comes that in the story there was an old woman who was sharing a story that she is lacking transport to go back to Gulu. If it weren't for government disturbing and also chasing them out of the streets, maybe she would have. What do you also say about now that it's clear there is no longer trading or, I mean, vending and hawking around the streets of Kampala?
It still takes us to the future of where are these people going? We are having issues where most of them are breadwinners at home. You're having single mothers who may be with their parents, rather with their husbands, and they are only dealing in activities to see that they, one, take home, pay school fees for their children, and then most of them have nowhere to go. You don't have rent, and clearly, like you've seen, that is someone whose grandmother maybe on the streets. They don't even have, it's clearly telling you she doesn't have transport to take her home. Okay. And back home in Gulu, like you said, and the government is actually coming through, maybe the city officials, trying to make life even more difficult for her by the time she gets something. And I just love even the whole narration of the story, in that pretty much some of us also pass via these people on the streets, but you cannot put a coin or maybe some money to these people because you also have less money for yourself.
Because some of them actually making it as a business, because we know about it. Some of the streets lying people have got organizations that just deposit them there to make money. But away from that, we're also still onto the issues of halting down Kampala and making it more better for a smart city. Let us now look at how NASA Lane has been cleared. Now, a woman who is operating there as a small enterprise or carrying on to her entities shared a story there. She was left in tears. The Kampala City Council Authority, the law enforcers around there, has stormed the NASA Lane in the company of police and started demolishing the illegal structures, saying that the environment was a threat of the health of the people. Let us look at this story as well. We return.
Government doesn't have job. I also cook food. I have like 10 workers. How many people have I served the government with?
Tetumalina wetugenda kutandikira. tusaba president alumirira omuntu wa wansi yamulonda saba abagagga beyesungira muntu nobeba.
Women who operate small eateries were left in tears as Kampala Capital City Authority law enforcement officers in company with the police stormed Nasa Lane and demolished all food vendors' kiosks.
Ffe tusaba omukulu president jali tewali mawulire gatalaba tewali mawulire gatawulira ffe tuli balonzi be ate tasobola kumanya nti nanga ayogera wano namulonda ffe twamulonda obululu bwe yafulaawo wansi naye tuli mu bulumi atukaaba nga tuli mu bivumo nga baatuvuga lwaki twalondaani.
The law enforcement officers merged every property and loaded them onto their truck. Food vendors say that all their cups, saucepans, plates and benches have been taken, saying that they don't know where to begin from. The affected victim looked on hopelessly as the law enforcement officers were going on with their work. They called on the president to allocate them with funds to revamp their businesses, since they are his own good voters.
Everybody, I'm requesting you, President, if you can see me, I am requesting you that please let no other person take this lane. Let this lane be reorganized for these women. And I'm requesting you that you get for us. We are requesting for temporary building on this lane. We are hearing that there are some people who want to put here parking. Mr. President, please help my women. Over 500 women are here. I know in Kampala, people never voted you, but for us, we voted you.
It is like you are making thousands of NASA people to be just, I don't know, either to be murderers or thieves or to be a problem again to the country. But you look into us. We need food. And always, if you don't talk about food, that is, you make everything a mess. I'm requesting you, release these people to give us.
The operation paralyzed other businesses around, and some of the affected vendors were selling charcoal and food, among others. Vendors who managed to speak to Smart 24 TV accused the Capital City Authority of carrying on an operation without informing them, which move has left them stranded.
Era ne Kasita abana abagamba nti Kasita akulira ebyobusuubuzi omwogezi wa Kasita tayinza kujja n'agamba wano tulina gwe tukosa fete tulina muntu n'omu yakwewe tukola ki we tukosa kubanga emabega kwa president yagamba omuntu alina wakolera ne tugamba tuyambe ebuzibi y'abakazi tukole tufune ku sente abasebe batulekera abaana buli kimufu abakazi naye kata batatulaba ng'abantu tukolete tulagewa fete tusobola kutunda mina business yaffe tuyamba kaffe yenyine fete tutamanyira okutunda ene business we mumanyi abasajja batulekera bana kati ze nabana 10 kati abana bantwala wa sina muntu anyamba school fees nze mukazi wona babwati na mwandu omusajja nazala mamu abana nasulira banawo nagenda kati ndagewa enyumba katembanja unandada nasula wabweru ngendewa bana manyi president anotuyamba
nze mbadde njiye ekyokulya waneeno ngenza okujja amasigi bagatutte amatamu bagatutte emmere gye tubale tuguze bagitutte twakaza abaana ku ssomero n'abamu bakyali waka.
Kampala Capital City Authority has earlier on embarked on an operation to evict all illegal structures from the streets of Kampala, removing kiosks from the central business district and the outskirts of Kampala like Ndeba along Entebbe Road. Bedson Mumbere, Smart 24 TV.
Thank you, Bedson.